excess duty from bottled water. Sawa sawa. On virtual assets, what we are doing is to change from defining virtual asset provider and calling it virtual asset service provider, because we must add that service. Some people, when you leave out that service, they are transacting in virtual assets, but they will tell you, I'm not a provider, I'm a service provider, I'm just providing the service. So we want to cure that. The tax is already there on virtual assets. What we are trying to do is to clarify, make it clear that a service provider is the same thing as a provider. I'm trying to check which one again is controversial. The issue of Mitumba has been talked about. It is not in the bill, but we had actually proposed it. The Mitumba people came to us at the Treasury, and I had a meeting with them on 6th of November last year. And they requested me that they have too many taxes. From the point when they bring their bales, their containers, they are asked too many taxes. When they come to Gikomba to sell, there are taxes. When the same clothes are taken to Kibuye market in Kisumu, other taxes. When they are finally sold in the local market, there are taxes. And they also complain that KRA staff are chasing them, asking them for income tax. So they said, what is all this? We can't even hire accountants. We don't have that capacity. Make it simple. And simplification of tax is one of the principles of taxation. So I put them together with my team here. They looked at how best to tax this sector. And we said, VAT, we will tax only once. So you don't have VAT downstream. When you import, we tax you there, and that is the final tax on VAT. And then we say, instead of chasing you around, asking you how much profit did you make, we presume 5% of the value of your goods to be profit, and we tax it at 30%, which is 1.5%, and then that is the final tax. No one will again come back to you. Yeah, I think people are getting tired. But let me conclude. In a nutshell, there is no more taxes on Mitumba. In fact, have you checked? The Mitumba people have not been complaining. The people who have been complaining are people on social media who are not involved in Mitumba business. They are the ones complaining. But the real Mitumba people who met me, they are not complaining. So, ladies and gentlemen, look, there is nothing that is which is produced by a human being that can ever be perfect. But we have really tried to make sure that this finance bill is good. We didn't want to again lead Kenyans to the path that Kenyans went through in 2024. And it is my prayer and hope that we get sober, we be humble, and we humble ourselves and objectively assess, read, interpret the finance bill. Where you don't understand, some of us are available. We will explain. I wanted to address some of the questions. Can I get that book? A few questions were directed at me. Let me just take like 3 or so minutes to go through them. I think when you asked me about dual assessment of taxes, from self-assessment to dual assessment, it is true we are proposing to have dual assessment of taxes. Why? Because we feel Kenya Revenue Authority over the years has been very lazy. You cannot sit back and wait for people to be declaring what they have earned, their returns. Yes, let them do that, but you should also have a way of assessing how much I should pay. Give me that assessment, I will respond to you. It is not that when you give me the assessment, that becomes a tax. Kenya Revenue Authority, it happens everywhere in the world, will now be assessing and saying, this is the tax you owe. And if you feel that is too little, you'll say, no, you are wrong. I should pay you more. This is the tax that I owe you. Yeah? And I don't see anything wrong with that, unless it is just that we don't want also to be. But again, the burden of proof can never be shifted to KRA. You know, you're the taxpayer by the end of the day. You have a contract. KRA is a collecting agent. You have a contract with your government. And that is why you demand. That's why you go to the streets when services are not provided. Because you have a contract with the government. So because you have a contract with the government, the burden should fall on you. It's you to tell KRA that no, what you are saying is not correct. This is what I owe. So the burden, in my view, shouldn't shift. It should remain with the taxpayer. There was also something about when tax has been assessed and KRA has said you owe us this much, and then you run to the tribunal, because those are provisions that are provided in law. You go to the tribunal and you contest it. If you win the case, you don't pay the tax. If you lose the case and you decide to appeal, if the court gives you a stay order, you will not pay. But if the court has not given you a stay order, it should not be automatic that you cannot pay the tax. You should pay, because court has not given you a stay order. There are people who just run to appeal when they know they can never win the case, to delay paying tax. We want to try to remove such people and say, if you have not convinced the court to give you a stay order, then you should pay the tax as you await the determination of the case. But if you get a stay order, you don't pay the tax, you wait until determination. I think there was a question on bad debt relief. I think I answered that. The bad debt, actually, we are making it better. Last year, I think in 2024, we brought an amendment that reduced the period for bad debt relief from the previous 3 to 2 years. We have since seen that from the players in the industry, especially the banking sector, they have complained, and we are reversing that. On animal feeds, the reason why we are removing from zero rating to exempt is as follows. You know, many people don't understand the difference between exempt and zero rating. This is the difference. If, for example, you are making a chair like this, there are things that go into making that chair. We have the wood or the timber, we have the nails, we have the glue, and everything else. Those are called inputs. Then you make the chair. So if this chair is exempt from tax, it simply means that when you are selling the chair after you have made it, you don't charge tax on it. But all the inputs, the glue, the timber, the nails, you pay tax on it. And that tax, you will not claim it back because it is exempt. But if it is zero rated, the chair, you will not pay tax. Anyone buying the chair will not pay tax. But the person who manufactured the chair also now will claim any tax that they paid for glue, for timber, for nails. And that is why zero-rated commodities are usually supposed to be, and I want to use the word deliberately, supposed to be cheaper. However, we have noticed that people, business people in Kenya, and I think many countries, are dishonest. They will bring claims for refunds which are not genuine. And it happens even with the animal feeds. So what we have decided to do is, instead of zero-rating animal feeds, to reduce the tax claim, we are exempting them, so there will be no claim on input. But we have gone a step further to also exempt the inputs, so that you are not paying tax on the inputs and you don't pay tax on the outputs, so it will be neutral. So the effect is actually basically neutral. That is what we are trying to do, trying to remove possibility. If you look at the tax refunds, which go to Kenya Revenue Authority every year, my friend, it is alarming. And it is what is making us now look for more money, because we are paying so much money outside. And we are paying to crooks, thieves, people who have not done anything. There are what we call missing traders. Someone tells he has invoices, real, which he was given as he was buying things. And you trace those invoices, you'll never find any company. Someone tells you, I'm Mr. Odongo, and I bought from Njuguna these items which have already sold. So I need to be refunded. You look for Njuguna in this country, you will never find Njuguna. Those are what we call missing traders. And there are many. And you make Kenya Revenue Authority be fighting and chasing all over the place, looking for thieves, people who have been filing returns as missing traders. And you know what? When Kenya Revenue Authority, some staff of Kenya Revenue Authority goes and finds there's no Njuguna, they ask you, how much did you make? 1 million, give me 200,000. Na inaishia hapo. Tukiwa all that, we are saying, why don't we exempt these commodities? We remove the issue of tax refunds. There will be no Njuguna to look for. There will be no Dongo to arrest. There will be no KRA staff to come and cut deals with you. Is that a bad idea? To me, it's a good one. I have talked about Mitumba. Content creation was explained very well by Faith. Excise duty was explained. And I agree, excise duty works best when it targets luxury goods. Phone, I have explained. Sini mnamaliza tu. HELB, let me maybe wind up by talking something about HELB. Higher Education Loans Board, we are working on how to make some reforms in Kenya, Higher Education Loans Board, to make it self-sustaining and to be able to support all students. And we will make announcements soon once we do that, we finish that. In fact, we are even thinking, why is it that we have to have the students to be the ones taking loans? Some of our parents can take loans on our behalf. Why don't we have options? You click, you go there, say, do you want to take it as a student or your parent? If your parent, for example, yes, if your parent, for example, there are parents ambao wako na uwezo, but because of pressure, maybe ako na shida zingine, they cannot pay for you fees at that time. And they want to be the one taking loan and paying on your behalf. Why can't we allow your parents to take the loan on your behalf and pay it? You don't want that. You want to be the ones taking loans. But then we are saying we will have options for you. If you want to take it as a student, you take. If you want to take it, allow your parent, father or mother, your parent takes. You want to be the only ones taking loan. I think this is a conversation we'll have. Probably you will be convinced more when we discuss this. But what we are saying, we need reforms under Higher Education Loans Board. We are receiving so much money under Education Loans Board. We can use that money in a way that would generate enough resources to finance more students. Because at the moment, with 56 billion per year, we will not be financing all of you. We must be more creative. We must look for ways of how to leverage this fund and create more funds in the pool for you to be able to borrow. I can see you are protective of your parents, but I will tell you there are some parents in this country who are allowing their students to take HELB, yet they should be paying school fees for their children. And it is not fair. I remember one time one of my nieces told me she had applied for Higher Education Loans Board, and I'm the one who took her for parallel degree program. And they don't even tell us. You discover very late that they have also come. And by the way, they get the loan. It is not fair. I was not amused. I am a member of parliament, and you are telling me I have taken you to Kenyatta University to do parallel program, and then you apply for Higher Education Loans Board. I am happy now she's paying that herself, but so that she may know that she shouldn't have taken that loan. But look at the child who was denied the opportunity, whose parent, who has no uncle like my niece has, who could pay. So that is why we are saying those parents who have the ability, maybe you have just financial challenges at the moment, it can be a temporary cash flow. Don't have your child apply for Higher Education Loans Board, because Kenya has many children now. The population is growing. We cannot keep pace. Let us focus this money on those students who cannot. Some of us, by the way, If it was not for higher education loans, but I would not be standing before you here. My parents could not. I was born when my father was 71 years old. Imagine. And he never, but don't doubt me, I looked like him. You see? Now look, my father is 71 years old. He had never worked anywhere. He had no source of income. It's my mother who was struggling to pay my fees, who was equally not very young. Because I was born when she was already 37 years. Now add to the years when I was in campus. 37 years, add to about 20 something. And you know we were not going to campus when we were young. 23 years, add to 37, that's already 60. That's not a very young girl, isn't it? She's not a young lady. But she was struggling. Now look, if the government of Kenya did not pay my school fees through higher education loans board, our time it was not, I think it was not HELB. I can't remember what it was. But I got loan. That is how I went to school. In fact, our time it was even better. We were still few. They were still like bribing us to go to school. We were even getting 5,308. Boom. We used to get. I at least got it for 3 years. I was terminated in my final year. I cast, but now I am here. So what I'm saying, why don't we have the children of Kenya who have people around them who can pay their fees, to pay their fees and leave higher education loans board to take care of those who cannot afford. That is the society that we want. This society of free, we should also avoid it at whatever cost. Free. Who is paying for this free thing? Who? It is you. It is you. That is why you go to the market, to the shop, supermarket, and you find the price of sugar is going up. Because we have also to collect something to be able to finance. Why in this country are we paying examination fees for everybody? Why? Which right is it? What the Constitution says, you provide affordable. It is not free. So if I can pay school examination fee, even with my poverty, even with the poverty of my parents, they were able to pay my examination fee. The government did not pay for us. But we should pay for children examination fee who cannot pay examination fee. Not everybody, including the child of the president, if he's doing a Kenya National Examination Council exam, will be paid for. My child today, if he's doing NEC exam, will be paid for examination fee. Why? What is the justification? I think we have a mentality in this country that must be changed. We must use our resources prudently. There are some policies that were made which were populist, should be reversed. And the only problem, where I agree with you, my friend, is when you put discretion, then the people who deserve will miss out. If we could correct that by doing proper mean testing, then we would get it right. But it's a problem. I am just sharing with you that we are adopting a lifestyle that we cannot afford. It's a lifestyle we are collectively adopting as a country, which is very expensive. A lifestyle of thinking that the government can do everything. The government cannot. But the government must intervene for people who cannot afford these services, because they are basic and they are a right. Just like food, you cannot feed every Kenyan. See, the Constitution says the government must make sure there is access to food. It is in the Constitution, Article 43. But we feed everybody. We don't. But we feed those people who cannot afford to feed themselves. That is the same way we should educate children of Kenya who cannot educate, their parents cannot educate them, or people who stay with them cannot. But those who can should pay. Otherwise, the budget will rise to 10 trillion. Nimemaliza. Kama mko na swali muulize. Today is sitaki siasa. Leo ni budget na finance bill. Siku ya siasa mtaniita nikuje nichape siasa. Lakini siku ya leo ni budget na finance bill. Ati nini? Mnataka power? Ama mnataka nini? Are there questions? I am taking questions myself. I want some few interventions. and be sympathetic to my health. I told you I'm not very so, but umeona mgonjwa hapa.